Hey,
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're gonna call this meeting to order. Dr. Joyner, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would be proud to, particularly at this moment.
Thank you.
Okay, could we all stand and place our hands over our heart? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. We'll move on to public participation. Dr. Joyner and Dr. White, or no? Ms.
Okay.
Redmond?
To the participants, you have 3 minutes to speak. In order to obey the norms of our group, we ask that you complete your sentence when I call time and that you refrain from making any comments against people. If you would be so kind to do that. Dr. Redhannons, I'm ready.
Good evening. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment in Martinez at this time or online. I do not see any hands raised.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Joyner and Ms. Redhannons. We'll move on to the approval of the board meeting minutes of our July 8th meeting. Is there a motion to approve, Mr. Wilcox?
Yes, I move we approve the July 8th meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
second,
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on to approve the board meeting minutes of July 8th, 2024. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
yes,
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough?
Yes.
And students are not in. Ms. Downer?
yes,
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well, and so that motion passes. Dr. Negron, personnel report?
Yes, before I request the approval of the personnel report, I am asking to amend an action item on page 3 of the personnel report under the header reassignment. I would like to remove the name Emma Papandrea's name pending an MOU signage.
Okay, is there a motion to approve with the exclusion of that item? Mr.
So
Wilcox?
moved.
Oh.
Yep.
Dr. Joyner?
So
I'll
moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Been properly seconded. Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Mr. Wilcox, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote to approve the personnel report with the exception of the item verbalized by Dr. Negron.
Use your microphone. Your microphone's on, the green light.
Mr.
Yeah.
Wilcox?
Oh, you're talking?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize.
That's
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
Anybody else got their green lights on, just to mute them. We're getting a little bit of feedback. I'm so sorry. Very disruptive.
Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
yes,
Ms. Downer?
yes,
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well, and so that item passes. Thank you. Finance and operations, Mr. Wilcox?
Yes, hello. Before I get started, just see, would anybody like anything moved separately this evening? Hearing nothing, I will go ahead and make the main motion here, and that is I move that we approve these 2 abstracts, 6 agreements, 1 amendment, 6 purchase orders, and 22 contracts as recommended by the Finance and Operations Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Dr. Yarborough, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote to approve the finance and operations action items. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough?
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. And so those items pass. Students report, I don't see any of the students. Ms. Red Hannans, are they not in the, okay. Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Negron?
Thank you. Today I would like to take this opportunity to give you an update on our summer learning programs. And for that, I'm going to be inviting Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessments, Red Hannans, to join us.
Working double duty, so bear with us tonight. So good evening. I'm glad to come before you to provide an update on summer learning 2024. As you know, we presented, I think in April, our summer learning plan, which consisted of 7 programs, grades K to 8, our summer learning academy, our extended school year program, grade 9 summer bridge, English Learners Academy, high school credit recovery, as well as our dual credit options, with the goal of developing a focused, coherent, and high-quality summer learning plan to advance student achievement. I am happy to report that we served over 2,500 students. To be exact, 2,536 students were served in our summer learning plan in comparison to years past where we've hovered around 2,000 students. And so what you have coming before you is an update on each individual program within our summer learning plan. And we wanted one plan. By the numbers, we opened 10 schools for our Summer Learning Academy, which served 1,100 students. Their experiences included literacy, math, coding, storytelling, sports, dance, theater, art, swimming, and more. Our partners for our Summer Learning Academy included Arte, which provided vibrant visual arts and hands-on crafts for our students. Arts for Learning, which was a partner that we've used the last few years, who also provided expert instruction in various art forms, and the Monk Center for Academic Enrichment and Performing Arts. And if you think about the city of New Haven, having a focus on the arts in summer is just aligned with what our city is all about. We also provided opportunities for students in science, chess, sports, nature camp, and swimming. Our Little Scientists program, who is one of our main partners during the school year, also is a partner during the summer months as well. Our Sport Academy, it was quite interesting if you got a chance to see our students learning how to play chess and making strategic moves and their critical thinking skills at play. And the highlight of the summer is our partnership with Clifford Bears Farnham Camp. This is a camp that parents spend anywhere between $300 to $400 a week to send their kiddos, and our children were able to experience Camp Farnham twice during the summer months. Some comments that came from Camp Farnham included, "I've never been in a pool before," from students. Staff thought it was a great experience for our students to engage in as well. Our extended school year program, this is a program that is specifically designed to provide additional supports for students that receive special education and related services according to their individual individualized educational program. The goal is to help students not just maintain their knowledge and skills and prevent the summer slide, but as well as help them to accelerate. Our enrollment in our ESY was 350 students this past summer. Instruction includes explicit instruction on academic skills, socialization skills, vocational training, and services include speech, occupational health, physical therapy, behavioral support as well. Our grade 9 summer bridge, this is something that we were committed across the district to implementing in all schools in the spirit of equity. We've had other summer bridge programs in some of our high schools, but it wasn't equitable for all of our schools. And so we made sure that each school held 1 week summer bridge program for our ninth graders, our incoming ninth graders, to build relationships, expose them to college, also focus on parental engagement and an introduction to academics. One of our ninth grade students said, just come into this, helps you to make friends, build community, and feel more comfortable. Many of the ninth graders acknowledge that it's a little scary as they enter into the halls of high school, but by coming into the bridge program, they won't look so much like freshmen. Our English Learners Academy, we were really excited this year around our English Learners Academy. We had 60 students attend ELA daily. We housed it in Hill House. Students receive English language development courses through literacy, art, technology, physical activities, field trips, as well as school counseling and SEL support. One of the students noted, I like coming to the English Academy because it helps me learn English. This program is specifically targeted for our newcomers in the district, high school students. Our credit recovery program. This is for students who had a little difficulty during the academic year and need to recover credit, if you will. And our students, we treat them just like it would be the regular school year. Standards are exceedingly high for our students. Our teachers are certified teachers. Our students are expected to attend 20 out of 21 days. So they can only miss 1 day. And some of these students that are in our high school credit recovery program are some of the students who we have had challenges with attendance, but they know the requirement is 20 out of 21 days. And adherence to the code of conduct is critically important. And we also host a graduation for our seniors that are eligible after the credit recovery program. And the point of emphasis for credit recovery, you may think, well, we only have our students come in and they go to class and that's it. No, we want to make sure we provide them with a robust program. So we partnered with Teach for America. We also had Higher Heights through FAFSA support for our seniors. We had college and job opportunities presented to our seniors as well through presentations with the military, as well as our university partners. We believe it's critically important that we set our students up for success beyond just the classroom. Average daily attendance, you see, we held the credit recovery program at 3 sites, and I see Hill House is a typo there. And you see the attendance. The attendance is higher at Metropolitan Business Academy because all of our other high schools feed into the MBA program, and Hill House hosts their students and Wilbur Cross hosts their students. Our dual credit opportunities, we're constantly coming before you to talk about college and career pathways because we believe in the career connected pathways. We also believe in opportunities to provide our students with chances to be able to attain college credit. It's critically important for us. So approximately 130 students were enrolled across the following college and career programs offered this summer. We had a career exposure programming for 2 weeks at Southern Connecticut State University, and we exposed them to our Education and Leadership Academy, as well as our Business Academy. There was a workshop model with different topics taught each day. for our students to be exposed to, as well as a tour of Southern Connecticut State University. You've heard a lot around our Bio City. This is our BioPath STEM themed program, which is a 4-week program. We are exposing our students to earth science and natural processes, quantum, nanotech, and data science, ethical decision-making in science and context, and astronomy. And it's important to note the dual credit opportunities, because oftentimes families ask, well, what about my child? I don't really want them in summer school. They're not at credit recovery. What about those students that are excelling? These are the opportunities for those students. And some students noted, I learned more about myself and my future career. I'm extremely glad that I took this 2-week program. There were many things I learned, and I'm appreciative of this opportunity. We also held concurrent enrollment courses at Hill Regional Career High School, which was a 4-week program in media, freedom, and power, introduction to acting as well. These are classes in partnership with Southern Connecticut State University. We also had our CNA certification programming at SCSU. We had 2 cohorts. The last cohort will conclude at the end of August. The Yale Schaefer program, Connecticut State Arts and Ideas as well. And these are just some pictures from our acting course, our BioPath students, as well as our CNA certification program. So we've been hard at work this summer. There's no days off for me, if I can say. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Questions or comments for Ms. Red Hannans? I can't see if you can take down the PowerPoint so that I can see the board members. There you go. Oh, Dr. Yarborough and Dr. Benitez.
Yes, just want to thank you, Ms. Red Hannans, for yourself and your team on constructing and providing an enriching summer experience and month for our students. I do note and appreciate the increase in participation and also value the parental engagement that was a part of some of the programs. Just want to celebrate the students and families that participated as a way to keep the learning going and to prepare for this upcoming school year. So thank you to you, the team, the parents, the students, and all of our partners.
Thank you. And if I can shout out the team, because the team is awesome. I just want it to be known. I have a couple of members of the team here, Ms. Gemma Joseph Lumpkin, Ms. Tiffany Jackson, who helped in planning, but I have one of my building leaders here, and Ms. Keisha Hogan, as well as one of my curriculum leads, and Mr. Dejan Jett. I just want to thank them because they keep it moving every day for our students, and we can't do what we do without a large team of people. So I'm definitely appreciative of them.
Thank you, Dr. Yarborough. Dr. Benitez?
Yes, just wanted to congratulate all of you, but in particular, Assistant Superintendent Hannans. It's really a great thing to see that we have a challenge with finances, but you were able to put together as a team a variety of support, and you were able to keep those programs that were important, like the ESY and others, EL programming. And what I have to shout out is that you were able to at least send kids a little bit to Farnham Camp, which is dear to my heart, because I just think our kids don't go out to nature as much as they should. So thank you very much for making these things happen for the children, to the whole team.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Mr. Wilcox?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo that and say that I also appreciated the breadth of the programs. It seems like there was something for everybody in the summer programs that are happening, including even the dual enrollment and earning credits and things like that for the college classes and the other enrichment activities. So thank you to, everybody involved in this, the team, all the staff, the teachers, the pairs, everybody else involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Okay, does that conclude your report, Dr. Negron?
Almost, I also just wanted to extend my gratitude and point out that hopefully you can see that this took a month of working to organize it. And as Assistant Superintendent Red Hannons mentioned in her introduction, this was work that was done together. So again, it shows how all the different departments were coming together, inclusive of finances and hiring and even facilities, to be able to identify the buildings that were going to be in operation this summer. And although we still have a few more days to go, again, because of the staff that has been working, the people that planned it, it's been fairly smooth. And I do want to reiterate and extend an invitation to our summer graduation, which is happening on the 31st at 10 o'clock over at MBA. Okay, and that does conclude my update.
Thank you, Dr. Negron, Ms. Red Hannons. No president's report at this time, so we'll move on to the teaching and learning report. Dr. Joyner.
I decided not to comment on the summer school program because I would include it in my teaching and learning report. Let me start out by saying that the meeting that we had last Wednesday was attended by Mr. Wilcox and the central office staff. And we had a guest principal there, Matt Brown, who's one of my favorite people, not just as a principal, but as a human being. And we talked about what I consider to be the prime mover for whether or not students learn well, their own behavior. My father used to say the first place to look for a helping hand is at the end of your own arm. And my biggest concern is that the outlier behavior, the extreme behavior on the part of some students who have a lot of personal challenges. And as a consequence, they not only hurt themselves, but they harm others. I also have a concern about how staff responds to student behavior. I sent the superintendent a video that was sent to me regarding that. She knows what I'm talking about. But one of the good things that I think is going on now, especially because of the coordinated effort between our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction and the rest of the staff, is that we have a clear glossary and typology of behavior, ranging from behavior that's not as intrusive and disturbing to behaviors that are. And if you know anything about what's going on in the city after school hours with young people and what's going on in the country after school hours with young people, you'll know that there are a lot of things that are not in the best interest of civility and social order. And so that's a real challenge. And it requires professional development for staff, and it requires extraordinary principal leadership to be aware of and on top of situations in your school where students are not behaving appropriately, but at the same time to be there to reinforce and to lift up those students who are. And so I think there are a lot of variables here that we need to look at in terms of how we can make a difference. Again, I said earlier, professional development for staff, principal leadership, character development for students, parent engagement. And I have a unique vantage point because I attended 2 class reunions this weekend. The Hill House class of 74, it was their 50th year reunion. And I feel blessed to have lived long enough to be able to meet with them and see that all the theories I had about how to help them manifested themselves and their accomplishments. And of course, the Hill House class of 79. The class of 74 were the students that I taught because I had not yet become an administrator. And they were surprised that I remember their names, even though they're 50 years older than they were when I taught them, that I remembered interactions with them. And I told them that I think I wanted to be a teacher from the time I was about 5 years old. That when my cousin Addison would teach me something, I would get the kids, younger kids and kids my age, and we used to write stuff on the ground, because you got to understand, in 1952 in North Carolina, I lived in a community where you had no plumbing, where the only book most poor families had in the house was the Bible and maybe Ebony magazine. And so we would write stuff on the ground. And the school I attended was a Rosenwald school, which was partially funded by Julian Rosenwald, a Jewish philanthropist, but largely funded by the descendants of slaves that raised money to match. I think he funded a third, and they had to get 2/3 of the resources. And they built over 8,000 schools in the South. Most of them, the majority of them, the state that had the largest number of those schools was my home state of North Carolina. And so I reminded the kids of that, and the students that were with me reminded me of how different things were when they were in school, and how different the community and the social landscape and all that other stuff was. And so they also talked about how much opportunity they had in New Haven as students. They had a U.S. grant program, they had Upward Bound, you had a number of anti-poverty agencies that related to teenagers, the New Hallville Teen Center, Soul Station, Fairhaven's Parents Ministry, all those places. And when I listened to Ms. Rez Hannon present her summer school report, we actually have more opportunities now than we did then. New Haven has a rich menu of opportunities for our students, despite criticism to the contrary, as evidenced by Ms. Rez Hannon's report. The chess club back then was me and Flip Golson and Stacy Caldwell and a bunch of other kids meeting in the cafeteria to play chess. And now we have it district-wide. Some of you might remember the U.S. grant program. You might remember Soul Station and all those other programs. But you had all these adults that were united in their desire to help kids to do better. We also had the breakfast program with the Black Panthers. So when the class of '74 took a tour of the school last Friday, one of my most memorable students is now an attorney in Miami. His name is Attorney William Robinson. He actually was a prosecuting attorney for Janet Reno, Hill House graduate, family roots in North Carolina. And he noticed all the Arabic on the walls at Hill House. He said, "What's this?" I said, "Well, Bill, the students are different. That, you know, we have a lot of Arabic students now." When he was at Hill House, most of the students were Black, Latino, and Asian, Chinese mostly. And things have changed. But then he told me, a son of Hill House, that his daughter was the first Black female to earn a degree in some type of nuclear science. And I'm a staunch defender of public schools, and probably even a more staunch defender of our public high schools in New Haven. We have a rich menu. We have more languages than we've ever had before. We have more different cultures in the system than we've ever had before, but we still press on. And I will never allow uninformed critics to attack our system and our staff without some response. And I'll try to be diplomatic, but I'm really getting tired of the assault on public education. And when it's been a gift that has kept on giving. Almost everybody in this room, to some extent, whether you went to public schools in elementary grades or even if you went to a private school, that is your prerogative. But most of us are the beneficiaries of public education. And Ms. Downer, you should know that you have some fellow engineers that were in that group, both groups this past weekend. And one of them may be a relative of yours, Lula Hemby, and she's an electrical engineer, and I think she went to North Carolina Central. And I told her about you and about all the other distinguished graduates of Hill House. So I'm really proud to be on this board and proud to know that we have the leadership in place we have to help our students better understand that the glass is full in terms of opportunity, and that our ancestors could not dream of the opportunities that they have if they would just take advantage of them. So that concludes my report. And again, like my fellow board members, I'd like to thank the staff, the superintendent, and all of the staff members who are working so hard to help these children realize their dreams. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Questions or comments for Dr. Joyner? Mr. Wilcox?
Just a quick comment. I just want to say it was a particularly good meeting. I enjoy all the teaching and learning meetings I'm able to go to, but this was a particularly good discussion that came out of it. And we looked at the draft presentation around disciplinary data, which I'm hoping we'll see presented here in August, and along with the plans of what are the new plans moving into the new year. But I just wanted to thank all the staff that was involved in that for the good discussion and then a lot of the work that went into the presentation. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just one other comment. Ms. Redhand talks about how she doesn't take any time off. She's absolutely right. I mean, her husband was ill and she still was working from the hospital. And my daughter works for the district, and I'm glad that my wife and I are close enough to be able to take care of her daughter, because like Keisha, she doesn't take any time off either. So, and this board works hard, you know. So again, thanks a lot for all of that. We're really part of the third revolution. The first revolution created a country. The second revolution changed the laws. And the third revolution will have to educate the population so they can take advantage of the first two. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Okay, seeing no further comments, Dr. Joyner, Facilities Naming Committee.
Okay, I've been discussing these issues with the mayor and the Eric Pachowski, who actually is in charge of athletics and the field house. There's a tremendous amount of support for naming the floor of the field house after two men who were peerless. Robert Lamel, who's still living, he's in his 80s in Florida, and the late Salvatore Verderame, who coached the Egyptian Olympic team, created basketball programs in Africa and West Africa, facilitated trips from to West Africa with students from New Haven Public Schools, and also was a principal at Hill House High School, and the first head basketball coach to hire a Black assistant, Robert Salisbury. And I think I got it clear, because the field house is city owned, if I'm not correct. But the mayor was able to clarify for me that we should do the naming process through our policy. And I'm almost certain that there's going to be a groundswell of support for these two people. The logistics involve being able to establish that before we complete the floor, unless there's a way that you can complete the floor and leave a blank and then if necessary. So I would love to hear from the collective wisdom of the board about how we do that. And I'm not saying it's a fait accompli, but I cannot envision anyone opposing Robert Lamel, who started the first super conference in the state that brought together suburban and urban school systems, and also reduced costs because we didn't have to go all the way up to Hartford and Windsor and places like that. We could go to Woodbridge and Milford and places like that for sports competition. And so if there's anybody that has any ideas about how we do that, you can please text me, and I'm going to start to work on trying to get it out there in terms of the online stuff, like we did with Miss Caldwell. So please text me if you have any ideas, logistic ideas. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Questions or comments for Dr. Joyner? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the Head Start report. Mr. Wilcox?
All right, so the Head Start Subcommittee met last Thursday. We had a good conversation, talked about some of the changes that are coming with Head Start that are outlined in the memo that was posted in today's meeting materials for the Head Start abstract item. And I think one of the big things I want to highlight is just the expansion of the program in terms of the number of classrooms and satellite locations. I think it'll be very well received. So it was a good meeting and I look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Questions or comments for Mr. Wilcox on the Head Start report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the citywide school building committee report.
Okay, so that committee met a week and a half ago. We had a good meeting, went over a lot of the things in the district. Two things that stand out from the facilities report to me. One is I did bring up the concerns that some board members had about how some of the delays in some of the playground projects or some of the delays on the bleachers for FLAC because of the good problem to have of having to plan that around new flooring and millions of dollars of other things that are going on in that space. And so, you know, we did have people hear the concerns and they're working towards expediting those projects as much as possible so that there's no impact on materials costs. And the other thing that stood out to me was just, and the materials from the meeting are posted and the facilities report, a lot of projects are just on hold due to lack of capital funds, or they're trying to identify where they're going to be able to fit things in the capital funds for some of the needed things, fixing roofs and a variety of other major projects. But I know they're working on that. And now that the new fiscal year is getting started, maybe there'll be some clarity on that.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Questions or comments for Mr. Wilcox? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to finance and operations.
So we had a fabulous Finance and Operations Committee, as we always do. I went through many items, as you all saw and voted on this evening. The one other thing in addition to that I'll just mention is, and I believe it's posted with the meeting materials for tonight's meeting, is the draft of our discussion item calendar. So this is the, you know, in the Finance and Operations, we have the action items, all the spending items, and then we have discussion items where we have various reports or discussions. And so that is posted. And if anybody has any thoughts or questions or things we're missing or things that you'd like to see, please contact me or any of the committee members and we'll see about fitting it in there. And that's that report.
Thank you again, Mr. Wilcox. Questions or comments for Mr. Wilcox? Ms. Downer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question. I just want to know where the policy is, policy 3323, which is our procurement policy. Where is it and when will it go to governance?
Mr. Wilcox?
So as we talked about in that meeting, there are groups in the city side from the corporate counsel's office, from purchasing, along with the school district that have been meeting to update that policy. It is on our calendar, hopefully to be discussed in a final form in August. There's a lot of moving parts, as you can imagine, in the summertime with those groups, but it is important that we get this right and that we get this in sync with requirements under the charter and the city purchasing policy, as well as also preserving the board's rights and responsibilities under the state. So I'm happy. I've been part of a couple meetings related to that. And so there's great progress happening on that.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Ms. Downer?
I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, we'll move on to the governance report. Dr. Benitez?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. We are meeting tomorrow, July 23rd. I don't have any updates at the moment. I do want to remind the assistant superintendents who work directly with school principals that they are more than welcome to attend our meeting tomorrow due to the nature of the discussion that will include some of the work that they do with supporting principals. We also would like, for any staff member that feels that they can contribute to the discipline-related policy to attend, and we will welcome some of their comments at the meeting tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Questions or comments for Dr. Benitez? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the Food Service Task Group report. Dr. Yarborough.
Yes, thank you. The Food Service Task Group met on July 10th. A couple of the items we spoke about. One, the food allergy policy implementation, following up on where our policy is and how we are doing on implementation, trying to close up the gaps there, and actually put some checks and balances in place to make sure that our students have the nutrition that they need and that their parents requested at the beginning of the school year. We also briefly mentioned, as relates to our sustainability efforts around food, to perhaps have a dashboard that just represents what's in progress and what is happening around the district, so that those items are known and so that we can keep track as it relates to food sustainability and our climate initiatives. We also spoke about the food distribution during the gap periods when the school session is on pause. So the summer breaks, winter breaks, spring breaks, and a couple pieces of positive information. One is that the team has funding for 1 year. So we're grateful for that, and they are looking to raise funds and increase funding for the future year. And the funding for 1 year will allow partnerships with families and the distribution of 1,200 grocery bags. As well, there's been collaboration with the Office of Youth and Family, working with Ms. Joseph Lumpkin and also with Danny Diaz to connect with families who may most value and be in need of the groceries, and as well connecting with other community partners to make sure that families that may not be reached through certain communication channels are reached through other channels. And I look forward to our meeting on next month, August. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Yarborough. Questions or comments for Dr. Yarborough? Okay, that was the last item on the agenda. And so
Motion
with
to
that-
adjourn.
Second.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Good night, everyone, and thank you.
Good night. Have a good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.